Welcome back. I have with me Aaron Brooks, who is a former Ferguson player, UVA player, and played for the Saints in the NFL. And we're going to talk a little bit about growing up in Newport News. Right. And I'm taking you way back, I know. But you started off in rec ball, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, it was kind of split for me because I grew up as a boys club member, right? And I honed in a lot of my skills within the neighborhood, Ridley Circle I grew up in, but also honed them at the Hampton Roads Boys and Girls Club on Hampton Avenue in Newport News. And I play a lot of basketball and all other sports, swimming and so forth at the boys club. But when it was time for football, I would walk out my back door right past the Boys and Girls Club football team and walk all the way to 28th Street. I grew up on 16th Street, so I would walk right past the Boys Club football team and go all the way to 28th Street and play football for Doris Miller.
All right, so you wanted to play where it was a little tougher?
Well, my brother played there. I don't know if it was tougher. They was definitely winning at the time. Not that I knew anything about winning and losing, but that's the direction I was guided towards.
Right, yeah.
And when I got there, I played running back my first year, right? And at the age of 8. You know what? Now that you brought me back, it was Coach White who coached the Mets down at Anderson Park where I played baseball at. Okay, I played Little League baseball at Anderson Park for the Yankees. And Coach White asked me if I wanted to play football. And he's still there today, coaching the D National, D American football team where my nephew actually is playing for. And it was just amazing that I started there. And that's how I got towards Doris Miller. That's why I got to Doris Miller. And I played everything else, baseball at Anderson Park and basketball and other things at the boys club. So it was just a unique path because I used to walk to practice trying to stay on the grass, hopping over the sidewalk just to try to stay on the grass. Oh, man, it was crazy, man.
How about that? Let's talk a little bit about going to Ferguson. Because you went to Ferguson and had a pretty good career there, had pretty good coaches over there.
Oh, yeah.
Talk a little bit about that experience.
Ferguson, again, that was the local area high school for me. You were either going to Warwick High School or you was going to Ferguson.
Right.
Well, mostly, and all of my family members went to Ferguson High School. I had a cousin by the name of Joseph Brooks. Everybody knows him by Greg, and then his brother Ricky Brooks, who were the quarterback and receiver right before Lance took over the job at Ferguson.
Right.
So it was only right for me to go to Ferguson. So when I got there in sports football, we were okay. We was about 500 team, but I must admit when I got the starting helm at Ferguson. By the way, I only played 1 year of JV, but when I got the starting helm at Ferguson, it was all of a statistical highlight, but we never won a game. We won about 3 or 4 games a year.
Yeah.
5 may have been our max. So there was no playoffs, no postseason play for me in high school football, but we did very well in basketball.
Yeah.
And I tried baseball 2 years. I was a freshman on the varsity team in basketball and baseball. Ended up getting honorable mention in baseball, and I gave it up for 2 years. In my senior year, I got back into it, but I had nowhere near the arm in baseball that I had in football, which is very weird.
And that's something. But you really excelled and got the attention of the people up to UVA.
Yeah, well, I ended up because the performance I displayed and my stats really told the story across the state. So I became one of the top state quarterbacks.
Right.
And obviously that attracted likes of UVA and Virginia Tech and all the other schools. And so I just chose UVA. I chose UVA. Yeah.
And excelled. And just and I'm not blowing smoke at you. You did a great job up there and really proved yourself a top-notch quarterback at the college level.
Yeah, I went in with a plan. You see, a lot of people don't realize that, and they don't probably feel as though they need a plan going into college. My 2 high school coaches were Steve Isley as a freshman and sophomore.
Real well.
Oh, yeah. And Tommy Reamon when Steve.
Yep. Tommy, too.
Yep, Tommy took over after Steve. And so I got to know Coach Reamon a little bit. over those two years that I played with them. But the most important thing was that we sat down and we talked about goals, and we set a timeline and when I feel is that I should be able to play at a college level. We talked about graduation, where they're playing black quarterbacks, and whether I can be, comfortable from this distance, or do I need to stay close to home. So all those things was talked about before I even went to UVA.
Right.
And when I got to UVA, not only did all those things fit my criteria, except one small piece, but at the end of the day, it worked out well. Right. I had a goal of actually redshirting and becoming the starting quarterback my sophomore year, but things didn't happen. I ended up sharing time with the fifth-year senior. And, after that year, I just took off, because it was my show. I took off. I had a great understanding of what I was doing, and I had great support from my teammates, and we were able to do some fun things, and it got me to the next level.
What was it like when you walked out there in the stadium and you heard all of that crowd? It's completely different than what you had at high school.
Oh, yeah. But see, the thing about it, Coach Wells kind of knew what he had in me, because I came in tall, lanky kid with a strong arm. He took me on some of the road trips, such as the Florida State game. The first game of the season, we played Florida State. A teammate of mine was in my class, Jermaine Crowell, started his freshman year, and he caught two touchdowns that first game. So you can imagine, my first ever college football game was at Florida State on the sideline watching us competing against the Seminoles in their stadium. So.
Saying, why am I need to be out there.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great motivator, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
All right, so you have a great career there. Then you get drafted. Tell me about that. That's got to be tremendous to get drafted and make it to the pros. I guess you dream of this stuff.
Well, you do. I was a kid not even realizing what college I was going to be going to, let alone dreaming of the NFL. But I knew I had a great junior year and a okay senior year in college, and it gave me the opportunity for guys to the next level to look at me. So what happened on that day, I had another plan. I had to ask myself, if this thing don't work out, can I work in the corporate world?
Okay.
And I answered myself like a fool, but I did. And I said yes. And I said, yes, I can. And that gave me all the confidence to know whether on draft day, whether I was going to get drafted or not, to look forward to the future.
Right.
And they called me the second day. I couldn't believe that, that they called me. I was so nervous. I was just so nervous, but at the same time, it was just so fulfilling that I was able to have an opportunity to be on the football team. But then I had to realize I had to make the team.
Right.
So I went out there and I showed them my stuff, and they was like, cool.
But you must have had a lot of confidence in yourself from all the coaches and the stuff you went through to get there. When did you realize, I can play at this level?
Well, when I just saw Brett Favre playing the game, playing the position. When I was at Green Bay, I realized that, I can really make something out of this, because I'm looking at Brett as if I can do just as much or more than he can. And that gave me the motivation, because my first 3 games, we went into overtime like 2 of the 3 games. And I think we was 1 for 1 or 1 for 2, however you want to see it. And it was such a dramatic finish, because Brett finished a lot of his games so dramatic, doing a lot of great things. And I would pay close attention to what he was doing, and I would actually use some of the stuff that he was doing, incorporate it in my game, and try to get better in what I was doing. And but I think the light hit after 10 games into the season. I started studying more, which was shame on me, but I started looking into the game a lot more, and start to understand what this thing about in order to be successful on this football field. Okay. And I did that, and it gave me an opportunity. Well, I got traded not knowingly, but it also still put me in a better situation. I started the number 3 guy behind Hasselbeck and Favre. I was the number 2 guy in New Orleans behind Jeff Blake. And they had bumped me in front of Jake Delhomme and Billy Joe Tolliver. And Mark Bolger was there. They drafted Mark Bolger that year as well. So they thrust me in the number 2 spot. Jeff Blake got hurt, and the rest was history. I came in and tried to tear it up.
and you did just a wonderful job. And, you know, I can't tell you what it's like for the fans in this area to be able to see players like yourself to excel and get to watch them on Sunday.
Yeah,
the big day.
And that's one thing that I knew, that everybody in the area was going to be proud of, because I was a local kid and I made it, and I did it. You know, I'm self-made. I feel like I'm self-made, and because I'm here now, I want to represent for you guys and for the area, and do the best I can, and lead as an example, be an example to all the young guys that's coming up, because you know, through hard work and perseverance, you can make it happen.
Right.
You can make it happen.
Now let me ask you this, because you come to these camps and you help out in these camps. What kind of advice do you give to the youngsters?
To the youngsters, you know, I normally deal with the high school kids, right? And I feel that I can attract their attention a lot faster and quicker, and they understand, because they feel like they're so close.
Right. You don't look that old. So.
No. It's a lot of things that I try to, you know, keep them focused on. Obviously, schoolwork and education. My foundation itself supports literacy, and it's called Aaron Brooks Family Foundation. So literacy and education is really big, you know, to me and my family. And so obviously education, but also, you know, I just try to make sure they have fun, because at any given moment that can be taken away from you.
Right, absolutely.
You know, and they have this dream and this aspiration of becoming somebody, or becoming a type of pro player or professional in anything, and they don't understand that whatever that is, it can be taken away from you. So the next step, you got to ask yourself, now what am I going to do? So, you know, I try to let them have an understanding of, it's not just football, it's not just sports. That's not all you know. It's more than life than just this particular thing, because you're so young, your life and your career can probably change 2 or 3 times. So, you know, just pushing that message to them, it kind of wakes them up. They're like, oh, yeah, you're right. You know, well, I'm going to still go for it. Please do. But at the same time, understand you may not get as far as the next person.
Right. But you still got to have that passion. You still have to continue to go, regardless of what direction you end up going.
Exactly. You're not quitting on anything. You know, it just didn't work out for you.
Yeah.
You know,
new plan.
Yeah, just a new plan. Okay. You know, because sometimes you find guys who retire, want to come back. They can't get away from the game. Some guys retire and have to go to play Canada football, football in Canada. They want to play arena football. They want to play arena 2 football. They want to do everything. So you just, you know, it's a time to say, okay, I had enough. Let's move on. I'm better than this. I can do something else, you know.
Well, and let me ask you this. You never really got a serious injury the whole time. I mean, you got injured.
Yeah, I got injured, but nothing that prohibited me from running.
Right, yeah.
And cutting stuff. Just a couple of ailments, but I had 2 major surgeries on my shoulder. Oakland, I had a torn pec, and in New Orleans about 03, 02, I had a small muscle in my back of my shoulder torn, but that's just part of the game. That's just the game. Yeah, that's the game. Yeah.
Well, you got the big bullseye on your back. When you got the ball, the quarterback is the guy that won, right?
Exactly.
Well, I want to thank you for coming over and talking to us.
Well, no, man, that's no problem. I'm glad you give me an opportunity to talk in front of the fans, to all your listeners, and to share my path and let them know, you know, great things can happen if you can continue to move forward.
Well, thanks again. Thank you for tuning in to LSC. I want to thank all my guests. This is Bob Hintz. Until next time.